Second of all, how many of you have been blogging for 5 years or more? Okay, so I need you all to go leave the room because you don't need to listen to me and go get me Chipotle and come back. That'd be great. But seriously, this is blogging for longevity. I'm going to talk about blog organization and consistency. I've been blogging for about 8 years. 9 years if you count like the blog that I had on someone else's domain. That was like a subdomain, but we won't talk about that. It's deleted from the internet and nobody can find it. So we won't talk about that. But I've been blogging with WordPress for 8 years, which is my favorite blogging platform. I've used TypePad, I've used Blogger, I've used pretty much everything for businesses, in small businesses, enterprise level, Disney, like I've blogged for everyone. So I can help personal blogs, small blogs, big blogs. This is all for everyone just to keep blogging because I think the cutoff date for most blogs, I think we were talking about is 3 months. Most people start a blog and after 3 months they're like, why am I still doing this? Nobody's reading it, nobody's commenting on it, my traffic is low, I'm just gonna leave it here to rot. So we wanna try to encourage you to keep blogging. It's actually kind of awesome and I'm gonna talk about that. Why am I talking about longevity? It's challenging. It's hard to blog consistently for a long period of time. For 8 years, it's long. It's hard. It's very hard. I stopped blogging on and off during those 8 years. I haven't like blogged every day for 8 years, but I haven't taken a break for longer than 2 or 3 months, and that's been like planned. My readers knew about it, or I switched domain names, or whatever the case may be. I enjoy blogging. I really like blogging. I like talking about blogging. I've gone to a lot of meetup groups. I've met a lot of local bloggers. I've just now meeting Beth, which is awesome because I've heard so much about her, so that's awesome. It's part of my job. We do branding for small businesses, so we introduce small businesses to blogging and the effects that it can have for them. And it also allows for growth and teaching opportunities like this one because I wouldn't have done this if I didn't have a blog, so that's exciting. All right, the first, which I wish I could move this over, the first thing I'm going to talk about is blog planning, and that really helps with being able to set your site on what you're going to do and how to plan ahead. And I set out my blog schedule for at least 3 months in advance. Like every quarter I sit down and I write down every post I'm going to post, if I'm going to have guest posts, what am I going to talk about? I'm doing interviews. I just write that all down on a calendar, and I'm able to organize my thoughts. Some of the first plugin that I'm going to talk about is CoSchedule. It's a premium plugin that does content marketing editorial calendar, which it's amazing. I was talking to her about it. It's like if you go to coschedule.com, take a look at it. It is $10 a month. Sorry, I think I tapped that. My bad, guys. But it has social media marketing integrated, so you can plan out your posts and also plan to schedule posts on social media, so your Twitter, your Facebook, your Instagram. And I mean, it's not brand new, it's been around for a couple of months now, but it's newer for WordPress only right now. And I would, CoSchedule. Yeah. See.
It's also good for Instagram?
It may be.
I don't think it does Instagram.
It doesn't do Instagram? Okay.
I haven't found that
Okay.
to
I can,
schedule.
yeah, Instagram scheduling, there is something, I would have to look it up and get back to you, but I have seen something that schedules Instagram posts.
There was one.
Yeah. Another thing, a free alternative version is WP Editorial Calendar, which has been around the longest. And that mainly is just to help manage, edit your drafts, and it's really good when you have multiple authors for your blog. So if you have 5 or 6 people that are blogging for you, someone like the Orlandoan, they have multiple bloggers, and they would benefit from that. You can manage posts from different authors, so people just log in, they post, you can see on the calendar, they can see when this spot's available. So everybody has access to that, and they can just manage that schedule a little bit better. And it's free, and it's been around for a very, very long time. And that's one of the ones that people mostly mention. And then if you're like me and you're kind of old school and you take your phone and you blog from anywhere, I put my posts on my Google Calendar. I have a calendar just for my blog. I put all my posts there. I can send invites to people who are scheduling guest posts or interviews, so they know when the post is going up. And it's just very easy for me to just get it on my phone and say, hey, what am I blogging about 2 weeks from now? And if I'm at a meeting with someone, coffee, hey, do you want to be on my blog? Then we can just set it up right there. So, and if you're old school, you can get your planner. Some people still do that. Some people carry around like a notebook and they plan in there. So that's an option. Branding, we do branding. So that's important to me. When you're setting up a blog for longevity, you want to have a blog that has a really good brand. And branding, it just sets the tone for your blog so you know what you're coming into. If you can see here, Matt, how many people have heard of Mashable? You have no idea. Crazy. I know. So, I mean, most people know by now, because of the brand and how they've grown, that Mashable blogs about tech and mostly everything that happens on the web. Branding allows for ease of use. Your users know how to just find you quicker if you have a good, consistent brand. It allows for reader recognition. They know where you're going. Developers in the room know CSS tricks. They've gone there. They've been there. Everybody knows Chris Coyer. We've all got CSS from him. And then most people who buy themes on WordPress know about Woo Themes. It's one of the better, more known, well-known theme publishers. And I read their blog a lot because we do theme development. I like to know how they came up with their ideas. So just logos and color schemes and everything that goes into your brand really resonates with your readers. Bless you. Choosing a blog theme is actually very important. When I started blogging, I would change my blog, and this was 2006, so it was like nobody cared what I was talking about. I would change my blog theme like every 2-3 weeks because this was new. Things were changing every couple of months. Bless you. But nowadays, it's a little easier to get a theme and kind of stick to it and make it stay for your blog and your brand. So you want to pick something that's responsive because people are reading blogs with devices. You guys have devices here. Nobody wants to get a blog and they can't read it on their cell phone or their iPhone or their iPad or whatever the case may be. You want a theme that's easy to navigate. If the menu is up top, perfect on the side, just easy, clean to read, and you want to limit your number of menu items because when you go to a blog, have you ever been to a blog that has like 25 menu items at the top? Like, which is a good one. It's the one that people always like take those stupid quizzes off of BuzzFeed. If you go to BuzzFeed and you go to their menu, if you're looking for something, it might take you a while if you're not using the search because their menu is like LOL and oldies, and it's just like 20 different things. Like if they're big enough that they can do that, they publish content, they have a paid staff. For your blog, you probably don't want to do that. You want to limit it to about 5 items in your menu. And you also want a theme that's easy to read. How many people have seen a blog that you can't read the font? It's like lime green or pink or hot pink or somebody's personal blog. We've all seen it. Just stay away from it. Don't do it. Avoid it. It's not great. This is an example. This is Oh My Veggies. It's actually a food blog. And she has like 5 menu items, sub-menu items, or main menu items, which are categories. And then she also has like a couple up top that link to her affiliates, and it's just really easy to read for a food blog. I don't know how often you visit food blogs, but they're usually really badly designed. So this was a really good option to find. And she has her social media up top, so it's really easy to navigate. Tags versus categories. How many people have confusion on whether or not to use tags or categories? Because I know that's a new blogger confusion things. Categories are like your 5 to 7 main points of what you're talking about for your blog or for your niche. We want to kind of limit that down. You don't want 13, 14 categories at that point because the way that Google reads the structure, SEO is presented, is that that's your main focus. So I have design, I think business and blogging. I'll show another site example after that. But those are the keywords that keep people coming to my blog, and I want to keep that specific. If I blog about how to write a book in 90 days, I'm not going to write about books all the time. So I don't want books to be one of my categories if I have one post. I want, how-tos to be a category if I have 30 posts. So you need to really think about how many posts you're going to have under that category. Tags are a little bit more, you can have a little bit more tags. You don't want 200 tags. That's way too many. And I remember the days of tag clouds when you had the days of tag clouds when everybody saw those words on the sidebar. There was 300, 400. I don't think people really show tag clouds anymore. I think that's kind of done. And you want your category to be SEO friendly and kind of specific, again, to what you're doing. And this is my friend Melissa Alam. She's strategic brand development in Philadelphia. And then if you see on her blog in her category, she has blogging, design, entrepreneurship, life, Philadelphia, because she does a lot of meetups in Philly. Photography, she's also a photographer. Style, she does a lot of photography of models and technology because she's a photographer who talks about brand development. So she's talking a lot about her cameras and her equipment and what she uses to blog and manage her blog and her businesses. Consistency, and I know we just talked about that, but consistency is it's key. That's what really keeps you going. Once you have your plan, once you have the way you want your blog to look, once you have an idea of what you're writing, you want to be consistent. It attracts regular readers. People know when you're posting. Nobody wants to read a blog and they don't know when you're going to post. If you post every 9 months, at least just be consistent that you're going to post every 9 months. Don't be so sporadic. If you're just starting out, I would suggest start out with blogging 1 time a week and see how that works for you. You may want to blog more, you may want to blog less. Just start out. This is your brand new blog. Try 1 time a week and see how that works out. And that gives you a gauge of how comfortable you are with that schedule. Because I get a lot of questions, a lot of times people start blogs of how often should I post, and I say, try it once a week. For blogging for profit, if you have a personal blog, if you're thinking about having ad networks search for consistency. I get ad networks email me all the time asking me about putting ads on my site. I never do because I don't like ads, but it's because I'm consistent and my blog has been around for so long. So when you're consistent, more ad networks will pick you up. And that's the way people make money off of blogs nowadays. They get contacts from ad networks to write sponsored posts. It's not really banner ads anymore, it's sponsored posts. And if you're blogging for leisure, transparency is key. Let your bloggers know when you're going to blog. If you're a travel blogger, you're going to blog for 3 months while you're in Japan, just let them know. Just be really transparent about, hey, you guys, I'm not going to blog for a month. They understand, like readers are really flexible.
So we're probably going to blog once a week, like every Tuesday we got new day, or every Tuesday 1 week and Wednesday next week? Or?
I think pick a day, start off so every Tuesday. Yeah, that would be my guess. Another fun way to kind of get your ideas moving and get readers accustomed to your consistency is creating a blog series. There are 2 types of series that come to mind. You can do a short-term one, which is like 1 to 3, maybe sometimes 5 to 10 blog posts about a specific topic. So you can have 10 ways to increase SEO, but every week you're going to post 1 way and then kind of go into detail about it. And that's really short, and it doesn't last a very long time, but it's easy to promote, and it lasts long enough that people are excited to know what the second step is, what the third step is. And it also gives you idea for content. So you don't have to wait for coming up with ideas. You can plan this series and it takes up a post a week. And then I have long-term blog series on my blog. I do one on Fridays called Links I Love, which is just a roundup of links from things, design. It's usually just design or typography or lettering. And just inspiring things that I show up. Or Blogging 101 is another one of my blog series where I post a blog article about how to blog. It's just hey, this is your short college crash course on blogging. And it just showcases consistency. My Blogging 101 course is one of the ones that gets more picked up. And I also do a roundup on the 20th of every month of different blog tips from different bloggers. And that one really drives a lot of traffic. And a lot of people email me when it's not posted tomorrow they're going to say, why didn't you post this? And I'm going to say, oh, because I was too busy talking the night before. And tips, just choose topics you want to write about. I've started blog series that I did not want to write about or something that I couldn't find enough content. I started a creative couples one last year for people who just were in relationships. I'm married to somebody that's creative, and I ran out of people 3 months in. So that didn't work out. And people were oh, but I want to be, people were interested, but nobody wanted to be in it. So it was okay, you're married to a photographer, you're married to a chef, you're creative, why don't you want to talk about it? I want to read about it, but I don't want to be in it. So that was the thing that sucked. And then just, again, consistency is key. If you're going to do something once a week, every Friday, do it every Friday. Just try to be there every Friday because people really look forward to it. And I know I'm not the best example of doing it lately, but when I was at my prime, if I missed a week, people are what happened to this? I would get emails, I would get tweets, what happened to the post? I'm going to get tomorrow, I can guarantee it. Managing old content is also a good way to continue to be consistent in your marketing. You want to share your old posts via social media. That's just, people like reading stuff. Nobody's heard of, not everyone on the internet's heard of your blog. So if you keep sharing that content, especially if it's popular and it got a lot of views or a lot of comments, you want to continue to share that content. 2 plugins that I have used, one that I use right now is Buffer My Post. It uses Buffer, the platform that shares out. Yes. And it uses Buffer, which is great for me, and I'll tell you about tweet old posts, that's why, which is great, but also if Buffer goes down, then I'm screwed. So I'm doing a 50-50, this is either going to go really well, really poorly, and it's gone well pretty now. And I like the analytics I get from Buffer versus what I've gotten from Tweet Old Post, which is the second option, which is built into, it's social, they use all the social media algorithms. The problem I had with it is that it crashed my site about, was it a month ago? Yeah, a month ago, they released an update. It was terrible. They released the update like every day for like 2 weeks, which should have, that's a red flag. If a plugin submits an update like every 2 weeks and there's not been any major updates to WordPress core, you probably need to or every day, you need to think about, do I still want this on my site? So I was like, oh, I'm too busy. I'm continuing to update. And then one day I updated and I was like, oh, thanks, their database broke. And I had to just delete it from the FTP server, which was fine. It just, but that's another option. I've heard it's gotten better. People say it's better. I refuse to use it again. Revise old articles. If you've written stuff, I have stuff from like 7 years ago on my blog that I need to go back and update, that's fine. Go ahead, go back, update that content, and reshare it like it's, hey, I wrote this 8 years ago. This is a new perspective. About a long time, whenever 3.1 was released, I did a review on WordPress 3.1. I never did another WordPress review ever again, which I should have done because I was smart. I got a lot of traffic from it. But I can go back and revise that article and say, hey, this is what I think versus WordPress 4.0. This is what the updates are. This is what I know. I could write a brand new post and link back to that post, which is why utilizing backlinks is so important. Use backlinks, link to things that you've already written. So people can go back. Yeah. The specifics of backlinks, I can answer that. I just want to get through the talk, and we'll do a panel, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. Okay? Yeah, but just be sure to try to link to some of your old content and your new content, because, again, you don't know who's reading your blog, and you don't know who's seen that content before, so you want to kind of get them interested. Reader connection, like Bess just did a whole talk about going out there and doing something. It's really important to help you stay consistent. I don't think I would still be blogging if nobody was reading my blog. I mean, that's shallow, but it's true. Like, nobody cares to begin with, but at least three people care. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just talking to 3 people. So it doesn't have to be a lot of people. It's just, so you feel something, even if it's just your mom and your grandma, you feel something when somebody's reading your blog. My mom and grandma have no idea I blog. You maximize your readership by staying connected. One of the most important things that I think every blogger should do for their blog is recommend a good RSS reader and explain what an RSS reader is to your blog, your audience, because I am on a mommy's board and they had a question about how do you read blogs? And they were like, I bookmark them. I bookmark 50 to 75 blogs and I check them every day. That is ridiculous. Nobody should be doing that. There are aggregators, there are things out there that help you keep up with blogs. And two that my readers use a lot is Feedly, and I use Feedly for myself because I have a lot of feeds that I read, and I'm not going to tell you the number, it's embarrassing. But it's easier to manage them through Feedly. And then Blog Loving, which is more demographic specific to my demographic, is female entrepreneurs, creative entrepreneurs from 20 to 35. And a lot of people, that age group and that female group uses Blog Loving. And it's you sign up for the service, but you can subscribe to blogs the same way you do Feedly. And it's just something that I got 600-something people reading my blog off Blog Loving. So you use it. I will tell people to use it if they like the interface. It's pretty. That's what I hear. It's pretty. It's not organized at all. It's pretty. You can also send out your RSS feed through MailChimp. We talked about that already. You get your feed, you put it in, set it up. It goes out once a week, once a day. Whenever you post, you can do that. And that's also leading us into newsletters. It's part of your newsletter. It's separate from your newsletter. Having a good newsletter is important to connect to your readers. I sent out a newsletter on Monday. I think it was about planning issues. It was about basically leading up to this, about how to plan for your blog and how to plan consistently. And sorry, somebody's calling me. And that was just something that I got tweets back from people who were just saying, oh, I appreciate your newsletter was really pretty today and it had a lot of information. So just keep in mind that people do like newsletters, and be informative. Don't try to sell them on anything. You can do hey, come check this out. I have a paper shop. I say, hey, you save 10% if you do this, but that's not the main focus of my newsletter. And then again, social media. A lot of people are using Instagram right now to promo their blogs. Twitter, Pinterest are some of my favorites. Google+. There are groups that people only use Google+. Facebook, I'm not big on Facebook. I don't have a lot of Facebook followers on my fan page. I have more on Pinterest and Twitter, so I don't use it. But some people find success on those. So I definitely would suggest Instagram because a lot of people like to just look at pretty pictures. So try Instagram and Twitter first, and then work your way around. And then you want to follow up by monitoring for success. You can't really get an idea of if your blog is working if you don't know who's reading it, how often they're checking your blog, and what they're searching for to find your blog. So you need to get your statistics, you need to get your analytics and look at it. There are 3 things that I've used in the past for analytics tracking. Jetpack as a plugin. It comes with WordPress. I think it comes from WordPress.com originally, and they integrated it into self-hosted WordPress. Google Analytics, that's a well-known one. You sign up for an account. It's very, very detailed. So if you just want like a little statistic charts in your dashboard, Jetpack would be for you. If you want a whole like breakdown of every page you're visiting and where they're coming from, Google Analytics would be the best. And then we just started using GoSquare, which I use for my church. And I manage my church blog through that. And that's kind of awesome because it sends me an email like every day. So I know what people are visiting, how they get there, their referrals, and a quick snapshot instead of reminding me to go to Google Analytics because I will forget. I have like 4 Google Analytics accounts and I forget about it. And then I use FeedBurner, which is old school, people say don't use it, but that's how I track some of my RSS subscribers, and that's how I know where my feed is going and who's reading it and what they're clicking on. And then Blog Loving, again, it gives me statistics. It tells me an email every time once a day, it has a roundup of how many people subscribed. They're annoying emails. You can change the setting, but it's great to know how many people are reading my blog. And then I like to do surveys, like once a year, hey, this is my annual blog survey. What do you think? What do you like? What do you don't like? There's SurveyMonkey, which is one of the free services that people use. It's free to premium. Typeform, I think, is also free to, I think it might be premium now completely. But I really like Typeform because it looks better. So that's one of my favorites. And then if you are bored and you have nothing to do and you want to create a survey using Gravity Forms, go for it. I wouldn't do it. I would just go to one of these other services because they already have the thing set up. It'd be a little bit more time consuming with Gravity Forms, and then you have to, don't do it. But yeah, those are the options that I have for that. And Sevenality with that guy, I write at Studio 404, which is studio-404.com. I design at Studio 404 Paper. It's on Etsy right now if you want cards or prints. And then I'm at Studio 404 Design on Twitter, and then that's my email. So if you have any more questions, I have business cards you can ask me later. So thanks.